Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new Doctor Who video where of course tonight we've had a brand new episode of Doctor Who, Survivors of the Flux, and so I thought, as I actually have the time and the opportunity, I'm going to give you guys my initial thoughts, breakdown, a few ideas, a few opinions on tonight's brand new episode. Please guys, if you are new, hit that subscribe button. I've been getting lots of new subscribers recently and thank you to all of you, and of course the ones that stuck around for a while, and of course please do hit the like button on this video and let me know your thoughts and your theories based on this episode, what you thought of it and what you're expecting from the finale next week in The Vanquishers. But yes, so Survivors of the Flux, I think it's an episode I was personally really excited for and really looking forward to. I wasn't quite sure exactly where it was going to go, but I did think that we'd start to get a bit more explanation about Division, about what that was, about who this mysterious woman was, a bit more about the Doctor's backstory and all that kind of those kind of aspects of it. I thought there was going to be something of that in there, and ultimately it of course turned out to be very, very true, plus a load of great unit references. So yes, I feel like as has kind of been the way in this series, the cliffhanger was, fairly quickly, cheaply, easily resolved. Chris seems to be great at setting up really, really cool, fun, exciting, brilliant cliffhangers, but also is then kind of just really kind of lazy, not lazy, but just very easily seems to just resolve them just like that. And it's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit of a letdown after that's such a magnificent shot of, her turning into a weeping angel. Like, I love the explanation behind it and, why it happened and things, but it just felt a little bit easy, a little bit of a get out because they didn't have any better way of resolving the cliffhanger, I thought. And then from there, the sort of story kind of split into four, I think, main plot lines. You sort of had the, obviously, Doctor and Orsok, who turned out to be Tecteun. You had the storyline around Yaz and Dan and Professor Jericho set in the early 1900s, going around with different sort of countries and things, seemingly to try and find out the date that the universe was going to end, the Earth was going to end or something along those lines. And then ultimately it was just trying to get a message to Carvanista to say, come and get us. But then obviously he couldn't because he can't have time travel. And then they end up in the Williamson tunnels because they met him, and for some reason his tunnels have all these portals to different worlds and places and whatnot. I didn't quite. It felt like the weakest plot line, I think. It had some good moments in there, and I enjoyed the character dynamics and things, but I didn't quite understand the point of a lot of what was going on in that section. Then we also had the ultimately fairly brief stuff with Vinda, who ended up inside Passenger, and that very much felt like we were just placing him where he needed to be for an emotional beat in the finale, because he didn't really do anything. He turns up on this sort of mysterious planet where Swarm and Azure are using people and absorbing people for their life force or something, and then Vinda just gets zapped into Passenger, and that's it. Like, it was pretty simply done. And the same with Diane, who we kind of thought would be a significant character, but she really hasn't actually turned up very much. But presumably is still going to give the sort of emotional reward at the end of the finale for Dan's character as well, with something to do with Passenger, I guess, in the last episode. So that storyline kind of didn't really go anywhere, particularly in this episode. It was clearly just setting them up and getting characters into the right places for the finale. And obviously there was the moment where Belle almost ended up on the same planet as Vinda, but then she got pulled away by the hijack of the Lipari ship by Carvanista. So that was just one of these subtle moments of, oh no, I almost met the lover again and then didn't quite make it. So I don't know, I just felt like that plotline was all a little bit it's setting up for the finale, and I guess that's a lot of what this episode really is. And then the last, probably most fun and exciting plotline, and also fairly new plotline, was everything around Unit. Obviously, we've seen nothing of Unit in the Chibnall era. He sort of specifically made a point of getting rid of Unit, and I guess we could say this was his master plan all along, in bringing back Unit in a way, and, going through the history of Unit with Prentice, who is actually the Grand Serpent, and all that stuff, which I really, really enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yes, I'm an early Classic Who fan who loves all those references to Unit, to the war machines and Wotan with the post office tower incidents, a clip of Nick Courtney as the Brigadier. Well, it was the Brigadier, but not actually in this episode. And then how the dates line up and things, and just the way it's all laid out. It was cracking stuff. I loved it. Like, it's brilliant. Sure, it's all a bit nerdy fan stuff, but I thoroughly enjoyed that stuff. And then obviously bringing Kate back into the show as well. But then it clearly, we get to 2017, which is a couple of years before we find out that Unit has been, shut down or put on temporary pause or whatever. That sort of, that now ties in and makes sense that Prentice was trying to shut Grand Serpent was trying to shut down Unit as an organisation. So I guess we could say it's the Chibnall master plan, as it were, but I kind of feel like it just kind of conveniently fell into place for him to be able to do that. I don't really think this isn't necessarily the shape of series he originally planned back when he was writing Series 11, well, Resolution, when that reference was made. I guess the main thing I'm not quite sure, and I need to watch this again. I've only seen the episode once, so I guess some of these thoughts could just be corrected by me actually watching it and paying attention to the dialogue again. But I didn't quite understand what the Grand Serpent's motive was. like, okay, he was teaming up with the Centaurans to try and take over the Earth, destroy the Earth or something. Is that it? Is his motive just to, take over the Earth with the Centaurans and then rule the Earth for whatever reason? I didn't quite garner there was any other real explanation apart from that. And apparently he can time travel now as well and things, like he can just do that. I guess is he, from a race or people or whatever that can. I don't know. I guess there must be something around the explanation behind it. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed all that stuff. I thought it was great. Yeah, all the references were brilliant. But I didn't quite understand the reason behind what the Grand Serpent was doing. And then, of course, the bulk of the story was taken up by what, in many ways, were kind of heavy exposition scenes with the Doctor and who turned out to be Tecteun. And they were the kind of scenes that, well, I thought the performances were brilliant. I enjoyed Barbara Finn fantastically as Orsoc. Well, let's just call her Tecteun because she is. And also Jodie played, a brilliant performance as the Doctor, I thought, in this episode. And the way they were playing off each other and the sort of emotional dynamics in there by, the Doctor finding out it's her sort of foster mum almost, I guess, or adopted mum or something like that, I guess you could call her. That dynamic worked really, really well, I thought, and played into the great performances they were able to pull off. But it was, pretty heavy expositionary dialogue of explanations, but we needed them. We got to that point in the series where you just need stuff to be explained. And you've got Mrs. Explainy Woman there in the form of Tecteun to go, yes, this is what the division is. Yes, it was, started on Gallifrey originally. Now it's got a bit bigger than that. It stage manages everything in the universe that's happening. This universe is now destroyed by the Flux. The Flux was done to, because of the Doctor, to stop the Doctor from interfering, seemed to basically be the point of the Flux, which I thought it was a little bit flaky. I don't know. I'm not sure about it. I need to watch it again and have a bit more of a think about that. But I'm not 100% sure about that as a reason for the whole Flux it being in existence. Is because Division, I'm just calling it Division now because they reference it as they dropped the at some point, clearly, between it being created in The Timeless Children and this episode. And yeah, I'm just not quite sure how I feel all about that yet. Fundamentally, I think I'm pretty happy with it. And, some of the stuff where we saw hints at the Doctor's past being sort of put up there, the fob watch that's got all the Doctor's memory from the past, that was a great way of setting that up. And then obviously that's going to be a big moment of the finale. Will the Doctor find out all these memories? I don't know. That's for a theory video. Wait and see. I'll do a theory video at some point and give my thoughts on whether that's going to happen or not. We'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, as much as it was quite heavy exposition, I felt it was very necessary, and it still was quite interesting. And basically bringing the whole multiverse theory into Doctor Who, explaining there's multiple universes. The CGI shot they had of sort of Tecteun's whatever place, ship thing, whatever you want to call it, that she was in, and you could see it's kind of almost in the void between two universes. I thought that was cracking, a great idea, and really impressively sort of executed through the CGI as well. I'm going to go a lot more in depth on this tomorrow once I've watched it again, made a few notes, and just have a bit more detailed and skin on the bone for it. But fundamentally, I think I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was quite a shock towards the end of this story to see Swarm and Azir and Swarm I think it was, destroy Tecteun, just wipe her out of existence, which I guess sets up the emotion for the Doctor. As much as she, strongly disliked what Tecteun had done to her and, setting up the division and all of that, it still is her sort of adoptive mother. And so I think that's going to create a real, anger in the Doctor and a determination to defeat Swarm and Azir, who are seemingly, in control, basically, and able to kind of, finish off the universe. Obviously, we kind of got the running alongside that, but also completely different storyline of the Centaurans trying to take over the Earth, which felt slightly randomly thrown in. I don't want to say necessarily random, but there wasn't like loads of build up to that moment. There was through Prentice, but then suddenly, oh, it's Centaurans. Oh, okay, they're taking over the Earth. That's it. The Centauran ship's all over Earth all over again after they were in episode 2. I don't know. My biggest concern among anything else at the moment is actually being able to solve this in 60 minutes next week. Like, I know not probably 100% of things are going to be resolved within this. They'll carry over to the specials. We've still got a New Year's Day, an Easter special, and a Centenary special to wrap up the last loose ends. But I feel like this is called Doctor Who Flux. This is the last episode of Doctor Who Flux. So the majority of the proper plot of this series has got to be resolved in the next episode. And it feels like there is a hecking lot to do there. So I'm going to be very interested. I'm a bit concerned about it, but I'm very interested to see how they wrap all this series up. But yes, that's just my brief thoughts, guys. I will be going much more in depth tomorrow with a full review of the episode, a lot more detail on the ins and outs of the episode that I just can't quite remember because I haven't taken it all in yet. But I just wanted to get a few initial thoughts out for you guys and a chance for you all to have a chat in the comments as well. Please post your comments on what you thought of this episode, your theories for the finale. Did you like the stuff about the division and the reveals and things? I'd love to hear all about it in the comments below. But apart from that, guys, as always, please hit that like button, that subscribe button if you're new here, and I will see you again tomorrow for a brand new video. But until then, it's goodbye!